Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Before the video starts, I just want to encourage you guys to check out my Instagram, my two Instagrams. I'll have them on the screen right here. And then also my Etsy if you're interested in any custom press-on nails or lash extension supplies. Also, I do want to apologize for the quality of the audio in some parts of this video. I'm still kind of playing around with my microphone and like angles and everything, so some parts might be a little hard to understand, but I promise in the future videos it'll get way better, and I appreciate you guys sticking around. And let's get on with the video. Today, we are removing this old set and we are putting on a new one. This set that we're removing, I did a while ago actually. It was this past Christmas and it was a super cute set. It was like a different design on each nail and it was all Christmas themed. Here you can see it was like the Grinch's heart with like green glitter and a red little heart. And then this middle finger coming up is super cute. It's hollow and then a Grinch's middle finger flipping off 2020. So this set was really cute. But the set that we ended up doing was so cool. This was the first time that I had ever attempted like a set like this. It's like almost like a waterfall-ish marble type of set. It was really cute. But yeah, so today I am going to talk through my process and all the kind of tips and tricks I guess I have with removing and applying Gel-X. And so all the products that I'm going to be using, most of them are from Amazon, and so I'm going to have all those linked below. If you do want to support my channel, please go ahead and do your purchases through those links because they are affiliated with Amazon. So that would be very greatly appreciated. So yeah, so here I am removing the old Gel-X. I'm using a pretty aggressive nail bit. It's not the best. Like I've definitely noticed that Gel-X is a little harder to file through than like acrylic or polygel. So it is a little rougher. And so if you guys have any like recommendations or like drill bits that you guys use that are like really good for Gel-X specifically, I am all ears. But this one I got from Nail Tech on Instagram actually, and it's pretty good. Like it gets the job done, and I'll have it linked below. But so basically when removing the Gel-X, the old Gel-X, my biggest advice is to focus on filing off as much of the product in the beginning as possible. You want to get it as thin as possible because that makes it so that the acetone can seep all the way through the product and get all the way down to the nail plate and detach the Gel-X off of the natural nail and have it like flake off, and that's super satisfying, and it makes the whole process so much quicker and easier when the whole thing just falls right off. So I definitely recommend focusing and spending that extra time on filing the Gel-X super thin. I used to just file it off a little bit, like get off the polish and then thin out the tip a little bit, but what ended up happening was that by the time I made it back around to that same nail, it hadn't really softened or lifted really at all. So I would have to spend extra time hand filing the product off, and it just was a lot more effort. But this way it's a lot more cleaner. You barely have to hand file at all. And it's super easy, and I actually got a really good clip of the Gel-X like flicking off after I take off the acetone, and that's really satisfying. But so yeah, I thin out the Gel-X as thin as possible, and then I clip off the excess length, and then I get a cotton ball and I soak it in acetone and I clip it in place with a nail clip. And these nail clips are really lifesavers. Honestly, I used to use just tinfoil, and that just took a lot of extra time and it was more expensive because we had to keep buying the tinfoil and everything. But these nail clips keep everything nice and secure, and it saves a lot of extra time too. Also, I find that you oddly go through less acetone using the clips than you would using the tinfoil. Because I feel like when you use a tinfoil, when you like wrap it around the nail, you give it like a squeeze to make sure that it's tight. And like, I feel like half the acetone gets squished out when you do it like that. Whereas with the clips, um, you just clip it on and it like contains everything nice and perfect. But yeah, anyway, this client is really cool because she loves getting her nail designs. So she comes in each time with all of her designs planned out on her like phone notes app, and she has like a plan for each specific finger. And it's really fun. We have like a lot of fun. And I honestly wish like more of my clients would be more open to doing like crazy and fun designs like she is. Oh, so this is a clip that I said was really good. Look at that. That way that it kind of flaked off is your goal. That's what you want to have happen when you're removing the gel X, and it should be as easy as that. And so, like, if you feel like you have to hand file a lot of it off, then that can mean one of two things. That can either mean that you didn't leave the acetone on for long enough, and so you didn't give it enough time for the acetone to like really soak into the gel and like eat it away and like soften it. It can be that, or it most likely means that you just didn't file the gel X thin enough. And so this whole process from start to finish will usually take me anywhere around 15 to 20 minutes, depending on whether the gel X tip was natural or sculpted. Usually, I've found that the sculpted ones, the actual nail itself, is a little thicker, and then usually I do end up needing to use a little more of the Extend gel to fill in the full gap. So the sculpted ones usually take a little bit longer to take off, but usually the whole process is anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. But then the actual filing with the drill part from the first finger to the last finger usually takes me around 10 minutes. So that means that the first hand, all of those fingers are usually soaking in acetone for around 10 minutes. And I found that if you have filed the gel X thin enough, 10 minutes is more than enough time to make it fully flake off. So here I am just pushing back the cuticles. I do use wooden cuticle sticks, disposable ones, so I always use a new one for each client. It's just a personal preference. I used to use the metal like cuticle pusher, but I just found that I prefer using these disposable ones because it saves me a little extra time. Because I don't have to disinfect anything extra and like worry about any of that. So this is just easier for me. And I buy these in bulk, and I have that on Amazon too. And then I move on to buffing the natural nail, and I use a sanding bit. I believe it is 220. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's like the softest grit, and that's what you want to be using on natural nails. You don't want to be buffing off any extra or too much of the nail plate. The purpose for buffing the nail is to remove the shine, but it's also kind of to rough up the natural nail plate so it adheres, or so that it grabs the nail product better. Another really important thing to be focusing on when you're buffing the natural nail plate is if your client did have a set on before and she had a little bit of lifting, you'll be able to tell on the natural nail plate where there's lifted areas. and those lifted areas you do really want to focus on hitting with the drill bit, and you want to get up off like all of that lifted nail plate, because if you leave it, that lifted area is just going to continue to lift when you put the new nail on, and it's just going to make the whole extension fall off a lot quicker than it would. So now I'm going ahead and I'm putting primer on. I 100% recommend using a primer when you're doing Gel-X or any gel product. A lot of people choose not to use primers, but I personally have found that it really makes a difference for like the longevity. I use the Gelish primer. I believe it's called Pro Bond. I'm not 100% sure, but I will be adding that below too, so you can check it out. This one I love. It's just really good quality. Once I switched to using this primer, I definitely noticed a huge improvement in my clients' like retention, I guess. I don't know what the proper word is. But I definitely 100% recommend using a primer. So now I'm going in with the base coat. I just use, honestly, like a random base coat. I purchase big, I believe they're liters, big like liter size bottles of base coat, and I just refill the same bottle. That's why this bottle kind of looks like a little mess, but it's because I use the same one and I am constantly refilling it, and I haven't found that any specific base coat changes the longevity of the nails at all. So in my experience, they're all basically the same quality. If you guys have found that there is one that makes a big difference in how long the nails last, definitely let me know below. I'm always looking at new products, and like I'm always looking into changing up how I do things and everything. So definitely leave me any tips you have in the description or in the comments. And having said that, since I've recorded this video, it's been 6 months, and my process has changed already a ton, and I'll actually be talking about that soon. Like for this, for example, the way I'm applying the Gel-X, I used to etch up the underside with that drill bit. But since I've recorded this video, Gel-X actually came out with a I forgot the name of the product, but it's supposed to chemically etch up the underside of the Gel-X so you don't have to manually do it anymore. And I've been doing that and I love it. It saves actually a lot of extra time, and it's a little less messy too, because that's one less step that's throwing dust and debris everywhere. And I haven't noticed any issues with like more lifting or anything. So I think it's definitely just as good as physically etching up the nail. So here I've basically started adhering the Gel-X. And the way that I do, or the way that I was doing the Gel-X, I would etch the underside and then I would place the nail on the natural nail and kind of see how it lines up. And if I saw any part of the nail being too big, I would hand file that side like what I'm doing right now. And then I would just keep repeating that until I feel like it is the perfect size for the nail. And then I apply the gel and apply it onto the nail. And you can't really get a good view of how I'm applying it. Hopefully in the future I can get a better angle of that. But basically what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of gel on the underside, and as you like start working with the Gel-X, you'll kind of start to feel out what is the right amount of Gel-X or the gel extension gel. But so I apply it on the nail, and then I start by placing the Gel-X tip by the client's cuticle, and then I slowly press down the nail until the extension gel has reached the end of the client's nail. and when it does reach, I'll stop, and I'll try to keep it from passing the end of her nail. If you guys would like a more detailed explanation and maybe like a better recording of me actually applying the gel X, definitely let me know, and that's something that I can try to figure out how to do. Here, so I realized that I accidentally deleted the footage of me applying the second hand, but I'll have more videos in the future of me applying the gel X that you can just kind of like watch and study. And so now I'm going to start filing down the cuticle edges around the gel X and flattening that so it's pretty much flush with her natural nail. And this is a technique that I didn't really learn or see anywhere. I just decided that it looked better and it grew out better, because the gel X, it's pretty thin, but by the cuticle, if you don't file it down, it can leave kind of a hump, and so as it starts growing out, that hump can sometimes get caught on things, especially if the nail itself didn't fit as perfect with the client's natural nail. I know for my own fingers, I don't even bother filing the cuticle down because the nails fit my personal nails like so well that it's not really necessary, but some people it would be more necessary. If you're uncomfortable going that close to your client's skin, then I would recommend trying to do it with the sanding band versus the actual filing bit. And this bit I think I also got from Amazon. Usually when I'm filing the cuticles, I do use more of an older bit that's already kind of more soft or like used a little bit, and that makes it so that you don't accidentally nick your client. But as you start like working with the gel X and everything, you will start getting more comfortable filing that cuticle end. And a good way to know whether the nail needs the cuticle to be filed off or not is when you look at it, if you can see the end of the nail on the cuticle, that part you want to file down with the E-bit. And you'll be able to tell because it'll kind of jut out rather than laying flush with the nail. Usually most of my clients will need some sort of cuticle filing. And so now I am hand filing. This is a part of my process that I also don't really do like this anymore. Like as you can see, I'm kind of going over the entire nail and buffing that, and I don't do that anymore. I feel like it's pretty unnecessary, and usually in my opinion, hand buffing the top kind of roughs it up and it makes it so the polish can sometimes go on a little patchy or uneven, especially for like more sheer polishes. So I just don't bother doing it anymore. Originally I started doing it so that the polish would adhere to the nail better, but I really find that the gel already adheres to the nail well. Like I don't really have an issue that the gel will start peeling, so I just don't even bother buffing the top anymore, and I'll just file the sides in to make it all uniform and everything, and that's all I basically hand file. And then I'll be going back in with the sanding band and buffing down all those rough edges that I just hand filed into the nail. See, I don't do this anymore either because you don't really need to. But then also I'm hitting those cuticle ends and I'm making sure all of that is nice and flat and even. And if you're uncomfortable using the drill bit, this is what you can use for like softening those cuticle ends. Another tip for kind of softening any edges that you may have scratched into the nail is after you finish doing all this and you have your client go and wash their hands, after they come back, just wipe over all of the nails with some acetone, and that kind of softens everything back out and kind of cleans them as well. And that's something that I like to do each time, and that doing that has replaced the whole buffing and filing on the surface of the nail, because it kind of does the same thing. So I'd recommend doing that instead. Okay, so here, finally, the time that we've been waiting for is when we get to start doing the design. And so, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is the first time I've kind of attempted doing this water marble-esque look. It became really popular a few months ago. And so I was doing a lot of them, but this was the first one that I attempted to do. And hopefully I can find the inspo pic that she brought, so you can kind of see how mine ended up versus the inspo. It definitely looks different than the inspo, but I still love it. I think it came out amazing. She really loved it, which obviously is the most important part. And so yeah, so I'm doing just one coat of this base. I chose to do the blue because blue was the main color in the picture. So I just did one coat. And on the bottom right corner, I was doing the little dots and to prep to do the design. I have learned to do this design a little bit differently since I've done this video, so I'll kind of talk about what I would do differently as I start doing this design. And so at the bottom right corner, you can see that I have a little like pool of polishes that I pre-mixed. And what I basically did down there, we chose the colors that matched the original picture the best, and I did little drops of the colors on top of each other, and then I took a cuticle stick and I ran some lines vertically and horizontally to kind of mix them a little bit, but not too much. And then I'm taking this, I think it's technically called an ombre brush. It's like a brush that has a lot of hairs, and then halfway through, like half of the hairs are cut, so only like a few hairs are left, and it's really feathery and light. And this brush is really good at kind of picking up a lot of these polishes, but then like depositing them more easily than a regular brush would. And then, so I pick up the polish with the brush, and as you were kind of watching me do, I will start at the cuticle, and then I would slowly feather it down and pick it up and put it back down wherever I feel like it needs more polish. And I'll keep doing that for the whole design. And the pink, I really could have used a lot more pink in this set, because in the original picture there's a lot of pink, and in this set you can barely even tell that there's any pink in it. So I think I would have probably used a lot more pink, but it still ended up looking really pretty. It looks like an ocean, like a tropical ocean. Super pretty. But so I'll do the dots, and I do this for all the nails. And so how I do this now, I don't do this the same way. It's pretty similar, but I have found something that makes it a lot easier, and that is before you start putting all this polish or the design on, to put a clear coat on them, just a regular top coat, and don't cure it, leave it, and then put all this marbling on top of it. And what that does, it kind of helps release the polish off the brush a lot more easier, and it disperses the polish throughout the nail better, so that you don't have these like thick, clumpy looking blobs of paint randomly throughout the nail. It's all like kind of self-leveled and equally spread out. and that's really helped me lately. It makes it look a lot prettier and even, and you end up using less polish as well. So that's a really good tip. Hopefully the camera focuses so you can see, because this design is so pretty. It has like a lot of detailing, and I feel like this would be a beautiful like tropical set, even though the original picture was actually more of like a fall looking set with the pink. But yeah, I love this set. I would love to hear what you guys think about it below. And if you guys have like any tips about doing this kind of design easier or better, I would love to hear about that too. So I do this, and I only did this once. There's no need to do like another coat or anything. So in my opinion, it's actually a pretty fast design. And then, so I did this, and then I'm going to go back in after, and we're going to add some gold foil, which is going to be really cute. It's going to elevate it even more, take it another step further. This set is actually, or this design has actually turned into one of my favorite designs to do, because I feel like it looks so elaborate and so complicated, and every time I do it, people always say that they're like so surprised at how fast and almost simple the process looks like. And it really is. I mean, I love a design that's like really complicated and takes a super long and like dedicated amount of time. But there definitely is something to be said for a set that is super quick and yet looks so nice and like elegant and complicated. But I'd love to hear what your guys' favorite design to do is, or like to even get as a client. I'm also really curious to know whether you guys, as nail techs, do you get your nails done by other nail techs, or do you only do your own nails? Because I know for me, I'm kind of like crazy with my nails, so I have to do them myself. And even when I do them myself, I'm like super critical about them, and like I like can never be happy. But I just know that if I went somewhere else, like I'd be so stressed the whole time. I'd be like staring at what they were doing, and I would not be able to relax. And the nail tech would probably hate me, because I'd be that client that's like constantly staring and like checking the work and looking. So it would not be a fun time for either of us. But I would honestly love to go get my nails done by someone else, because it takes me 3 hours each time to do my own nails. And you know, I always have to do like a design too, so it takes me a long time. But yeah, what do you guys do? Do you like actually trust other people to do your nails? Or are you like me and you just like to do your own nails? But anyway, back to the actual tutorial. So now I take a little bit of that foil glue. I'll have that linked below too. I actually, so since I've filmed this video, I found a much better one on Amazon actually. This one I bought off of a nail tech's website, but the glue, the new nail foil that I found is much better, and it's on Amazon for cheaper. So I'll be linking the new one that I use instead of the one that I use in this video. But so basically I'm dipping this super long detail brush straight into the bottle, picking up a chunk of it, and then I am just tracing some of the natural lines that developed with this design. And I'm just picking the lines that I feel like would look pretty with gold accents. I'm also using this opportunity to fill in any bald spots that I may have missed, or any parts that I just don't like. And I'm completely filling those parts in with this glue so that they will just be gold when it's done. This thumb came out so cool. It looks like a one of those ocean caves in like Bora Bora, or like in the Pacific. So pretty. So I'm doing the same thing on this side, and then once I put it in to cure. You cure it for 60 seconds. And then you take your gold foil and you just tap it on. Now, something I didn't do in this video, which I think I didn't do it because I forgot, but you definitely need to remember before you start putting the glue down to wipe the nail with acetone, because most gel polishes, when they cure, they still have a tacky or sticky surface, and if you don't wipe that tacky surface off and then you go in and you hit it with the gold foil, some of the gold foil will stick to the sticky gel polish, and so instead of having nice crisp lines of where you put the actual foil glue, it'll kind of be sporadic and it'll be all around the entire nail. Which in this case, it actually didn't look bad because this is kind of like a sporadic abstract nail design anyway. But if you're doing like specific drawings or specific lines, or you just need your lines to be really crisp, then definitely remember to wipe that sticky layer off first. And so I'll start going in with the paper very soon, and I'll just be sprinkling it and like dabbing it all over the whole nail, and the sticky parts will be picking up the gold as well as the actual glue that I put down, and I think it just came out really nice. So pretty. Very abstract looking. I don't think I ended up double top coating this design because there wasn't too much foil in it. But if you're doing a design that has a lot of foil in it and you used a ton of that foil glue, I would recommend top coating that twice, because the foil glue is kind of delicate, and if you don't top coat it twice, I've found that it can start peeling away from the end of the nail and kind of getting dents in it easily. So just take that extra time and top coat it twice. This one I didn't need to because it was very minimal glue. And this top coat that I'll be using, I actually developed myself, and I have a big container of that too, and I just kind of refill this bottle, which is why the bottle looks crazy. But I love this top coat. I needed a top coat that stayed super shiny. I hated when the top coats would get like all dull. So I just created this one, and I love it. And I cure it. We cure this top coat twice, and curing it twice makes it stain proof and acetone proof, and it gives it that super awesome, like super shiny look. But yeah, this is what I'm doing, and that's the final step. I don't think I took an after picture, but I can show the before picture, and hopefully you guys think that this set came out good. And thank you so much for watching my video. And again, if you want to get any of the products I was using today, I have them all linked below. I also have my Instagram, my 2 Instagrams. I have a nail one and a lash extension one. And then I also have a Etsy store where I sell custom press-on nails. And all that's linked in the description. So if you want to support me, or if you just want to check out my stuff, all of that's below. And thank you so much for watching.